Continuing our wrap up of 2024. What comics did I drop because they were bad? Let's talk about them right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. So when I saw how many... first of all, I'm your host, Frank Zanca, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. But yeah, when I saw, I kind of went to my pull list, and I saw how many things I had dropped. I think it was either all of this year and maybe a little piece of last year as well. But I saw how many, I was like, wow, I should just do a video on how many comics I'm no longer collecting. And I'm sure you guys have your list as well of just things that you just dropped. Mostly because you can't afford to get it all. And then on top of that, the writing just gets poor, or you just lose interest in it, or whatever the reason is. But I figured I'd do a top. I have my top 26. I have 26 titles that I dropped this year. So I'm going to start off with like the miniseries that I started and then fell off. And then I'll do DC. I'll do Independence, and I'll do DC, and then I'll do Marvel. So let's jump into what I got here. So the first thing I dropped, and I know a lot of people said it was the best thing that DC had done in a great while. As far as a miniseries was concerned, or an event, and that is Absolute Power. I just could not get into Absolute Power at all. I thought the idea was stupid as shit. I thought that the fact that robots, because it was Amazo robots that were basically taking people's powers away, no matter what type of power it is. It could be scientific, it could be genetic, it could be magic. No matter what it was, they took it and then gave it to themselves. That is not how Amazo works. He just replicated the power. He didn't steal it. So it wasn't even an exact duplication. It's whatever technology he could do to make that thing work. But in this case, he even stole your magic. So if you were be able to make a spell, suddenly you weren't able to make that spell anymore. How is a robot able to do that? You explain that to me. And nobody can, of course, because it's just silly. It's a silly idea. And I dropped off that after a couple of issues. I just thought it was completely stupid. All right, so the next one was by Guggenheim, and I was surprised how bad this was, but it was Batman '89. I was like, oh, they're doing a Batman based on the movies, the original movies with Keaton. I'm like, I could be into that. But Batman, I collected it for like 3 issues. Batman never showed up. He was in prison or whatever. I don't know what the hell they were doing. The writing on this was so poor, that I had to drop it. It was, I'm like, I don't even know there's nothing here. There's just nothing to this thing. The next one is Storm. They have the Storm miniseries. I collected the first one. It just didn't feel like Storm at all. I didn't know what the hell was even going on. And I'm like, yeah, there's no reason for me to be spending money on this. I'm a big Storm fan. I will buy almost anything in that Storm has. But it has to be good for me to continue it. I'll try it. But if it's not, doesn't feel like her, I'm out. And it definitely didn't. The writing on it was pretty bad, so I jumped off it. The same thing that happened with it last year, or was it last year with Photon? I like Photon a lot, and it was just bad. All right, the next one is, and I collected a whole bunch of these, Batman Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, certain that it's the longest title in existence. But I didn't think this was bad, but there's no reason for this to be 12 issues. None. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not into it enough. It's not good enough for me to go and get a whole 12 issues of it. So I dropped off on like issue 5 or something like that after they brought Green Lantern in, when he was on the train or whatever. And it was all over the place too. He brought in Wonder Woman. It wasn't Batman anymore, because at least with the original Gotham by Gaslight, it was all about basically Batman, and here it just I'm creating this whole vast world, this vast Elseworld, when he just got away from the main character. It's just, I just felt it was just throwing darts on a board. All right, the next one is still another miniseries, Falling in Love on the Path to Hell. I was like, well, that's very interesting, where we had people die and they went from all over the world, and they ended up going to this purgatory type of things. They had this cowboy and this samurai girl, kind of trying to navigate this whole thing. The third issue, I got to issue 3. All it was dick pics. That's all it was through the whole book. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm out. So I dropped off that. I don't even know what Karen Gillan was even trying to do here. I didn't even get a story out of it. If you don't know what the story is by issue 3, there's no reason for you to continue. All right, the last one. Oh no, I got 2 more on the short list here. The One Hand. I think that was by Ram V. Then it was like a serial killer thing, but then he decided he was going to do another book from the serial killer's point of view and his origin, which destroyed the One Hand, or the Six Finger. I forgot it was One Hand and Six Finger or whatever. It destroyed the main book because I already know who the killer is. So the mystery is gone. I didn't understand that whole idea. It didn't work. It didn't work. So I dropped off that. And the last miniseries, which has amazing covers, which is why I bought it, was Red Sonja, Empire of the Damned. Yeah, the writing on this. I'm collecting the main Red Sonja book, as if you watch my thing, you'll see my reviews of that by Doran Grumbuck. And I think that one's pretty decent. But this writing on Empire of the Damned was so bad, I'm like, I couldn't continue after the first issue. Nope. All right, so let's jump into DC. The first one is Action Comics. First of all, I do not like anthology series. I don't even like when they put backups into comics. I'm not buying something I don't want to buy, and yet you're throwing it down my throat. So after that started to go weekly, I'm done. No way. You're monthly or you're not. And I know a lot of people jumped off it because it was weekly. And again, it was an anthology book for weekly. I'm just not interested. So I jumped off Action Comics. All right, the next one is Shazam. I got like the first 4 issues signed by Mark Waid, but it had like a accountant dinosaur from another planet. What? Yeah, I'm gonna have a dinosaur in here from another planet. It's awful. It was awful. I know a lot of people like that series, but I had no reason to continue. It was just way too off the wall. And I like Mary Marvel and all that stuff. Just way too off the wall. I missed one. So it was an independent that I jumped off. Star Trek from IDW. So I jumped off Star Trek. Obviously, I produced a Star Trek pilot. So I love Star Trek, but Colin Kelly and Lansing, I don't think they know what the hell they're doing. So they decided to, and I guess that was all Star Trek at this point, instilling real world politics into Star Trek. Where it was like, oh, I'm a Vulcan, so I'm they them or whatever. I'm like, I don't really need that in my Star Trek. So I dropped off that. They just started going off the wall, and there was some really good Star Trek stuff previous to that, but I was like, I'm gone. Then we'll go right back to DC. We have Green Arrow. I know a lot of people like the Joshua Williamson thing. I didn't like it at all. It didn't feel right. He had him like jumping through different universes because he was supposed to keep himself away from the rest of the family because he was going to be a detriment to them. It just didn't even feel like Green Arrow. Man, Green Arrow is a street level character, and I like the whole family. Like, Black Canary, you got Speedy, you had Arsenal, so you have a good kind of a rounded thing around him, but it just didn't feel like it. And then they ended up had him working for Waller behind everybody's back. Yeah, no, it didn't do it for me. So I dropped off that. And now Josh Williamson's not even on the title anymore, but I didn't go back. I know even my buddy Jeremy Adams even did a crossover. I didn't even get the crossover with him and Green Lantern. So the next one, I dropped off Teenie Howard. Whatever she's on, she destroys. I mean, it's just the way it is. She doesn't really know how to write. And she did this whole... I decided to keep going with it up to the Gotham War. And the Gotham War was so bad. I mean, that thing was so badly written that I was just scratching my head about how her and Jed McKay could come up with something this bad. They had sent, her to prison, where she was able to get the cat was going in and out with stuff for her, and then she ended up escaping with everyone. It was just horrendous. It was just horrendously bad. So I dropped off it, and I jumped back on when Teenie Howard left, because I love Catwoman. And when she left, I'm like, all right, they got Torrin Grumbuck on here, who, is writing Red Sonja that I like. But this, after 2 issues, this thing is like almost unreadable. They took her out of Gotham, and she's in Europe tracking down people that are killing her old aliases, people that have her old alias names. And I don't know what the hell's going on. It's just awful. It's just really, really bad, so I'm going to be dropping it again. I might get another issue or 2 to see if she can pick up any kind of pieces. But I don't understand why people have to take Catwoman out of Gotham. It just doesn't make any sense. I liked Ram V's. That was why I liked Ram V originally, was because I liked his Catwoman run, where she was kind of taking over the Narrows and stuff like that, and she was banding all these people together. I thought that really worked. And then you get Teenie Howard. This was a recent drop for me. Batman, Superman, World's Finest. I thought that Mark Waid was doing a decent job. And then, of course, we lost Dan Mora as an artist on it. And I kind of just lost interest in what was going on. I dropped it at the Eclipso storyline. But he had some really good stories in there for a while. I was so after Catwoman, I was very excited for Ram V to get onto Detective Comics. But I don't know what the hell he did with Detective Comics. It got so weird that I was just like, I just can't continue this. It's just too weird. And so I dropped it. I dropped Detective Comics as well. So, and then on top of that, we had Chip Zdarsky running with Batman. And I was collecting Batman for a little while. I kind of liked the fail-safe thing a little bit, even though I had problems with it, because even Superman couldn't beat a robot. I just really didn't buy that. But okay, I'll see where he goes with it. But then he has him going through another dimension. Then he got his hand cut off. Then he got, got a robotic hand in another dimension. And now we just forgot about that completely because it was the stupidest idea ever. You cannot cut off Batman's hand because he loses agility with it no matter what. It is just a stupid idea, and everybody just kind of forgot about it at this point. I think even Zdarsky forgot about it. So I dropped Batman as well. So there's only one Batman title I'm still collecting, and that is Batman and Robin. By Philip Kennedy Johnson. I think it's really good right now. He's doing a really good job with it right now. He's doing a really good job with. I don't really like the artist on it, but I think that what he's doing with Damian is really good too. So because Damian's getting haunted by a woman, like a little girl that he feels responsible for. It's just really, really good stuff. If you're not reading Batman and Robin, you should. But the rest of it is crap right now. All right, so and now Detective is now being written by Tom Taylor, so I'm not going near that at all. And I'll get into Tom Taylor here in a minute. All right, so the next one is Wonder Woman. So Tom King, to me, is not a good writer. He's really full of himself. And I was collecting it for a while because I love Wonder Woman. As you can see behind me, she's one of my favorite characters. And I hate not collecting Wonder Woman, but and the artwork on Wonder Woman was great, which is why I kept with it, because the artist really got her. And but there's too bad the writer didn't. So there was this thing called the Sovereign. He had her locked away. She was eating rats. I don't know what the hell was going on. It's just then he kept teasing the Trinity character, of which I could give a shit about. We kept having this backup story about her being younger and being raised by Damian and Jonathan. It was just really bad. And she comes off, and then every time we see her, she comes off too hoity-toity. There was just nothing to like about this character. And then he killed off Steve Trevor, and just by getting shot by the Sovereign for no reason. It was just awful, just awful. Finally, I'm like, I'm out. I'm dropping this, especially when you had Absolute Woman, Wonder Woman come in. I just had to try that one, so I said, all right, I'll just drop that one and get Absolute Wonder Woman for a little bit. All right, the next one is Justice League Unlimited. Again, we got Mark Waid jump into that one. Ken Moore is on that, or Dan Moore is on that. And I like the artwork, but I didn't need everybody in the Watchtower. It just felt too weird. And I didn't like the whole feel of it. And so I got the first issue, and I dropped off it already. All right, we talked about Batman already, and the next one for my last DC title that I dropped was Nightwing. So, Tom Taylor's, I collected Nightwing for a great chunk of it, but he kept bringing up Heart Attack there, whatever, Heartless, and never did anything with him. Never. He kept letting them just go away, and then we were having this one-shots, and then we were doing the wedding with his relationship with Babs, which I was waiting to go for. He never did anything with anything. He kept teasing. The guy's like an edger, and then walks out of the room. So I don't even know if the Heartless thing ever even got by the end of his 5-year run or whatever the thing was. I don't know if he concluded any storyline, but where my problem was B. Right, so he brought the Pirate Queen person in when he was Rick Grayson or whatever, and he had her get impaled completely. And then he had that thing where he was a pirate and he had the open shirt and everything like that, and I'm like, what are you doing here? But anyway, he had B, the Pirate Queen or whatever else, get completely impaled by a sword where it was through her body. Then the villain kicked her off a precipice where she dropped into the water, and she probably fell about 5 stories into the water. And I said, if she's alive in the next issue, I'm out. I'm done. Because you can't do all this and then just have her live. I can't take anything what you do seriously. And sure enough, the next issue, she's alive. I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I dropped it. So, and lucky I did, because everybody told me that didn't go anywhere from that point on. And I didn't collect the new Nightwing. I never went back to it. I know the new writer's on there, and I haven't heard anything really spectacular, so I'm leaving that one as a dead title. I love Dick Grayson though, but nope, not going back to it. All right, so let's go. I don't collect much Marvel anyway at this point, but the ones I was collecting, I pretty much dropped almost everything. I think I'm getting Avengers right now, which I'm probably going to be dropping. I'm waiting to see with Jed McKay. Jed McKay's doing an awful job there. West Coast Avengers, he's doing a bad job on that too. Gillen, is that his name? Karen Gillen. He's doing an awful job on that. I'm going to get it for maybe an issue or so more, and probably dropping that. Moon Knight is really the only thing from Marvel I continuously get. It's crazy. So I love She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk is a great character, especially when it's a derivative. It's probably one of the few derivative characters that really has its own personality. The TV show was jack crap, and they fucked that all up. I would have even accepted the bad CGI if the story was good, but they did nothing right. But anyway, so I was getting Sensational She-Hulk by Rainbow Rail or whatever, and she didn't. It was all it was a dating thing. That's it. On top of that, then she was appearing in Avengers Assemble, and that was an awful book. I dropped out of that too. So yeah, and then on the next one, I collected for a great period of time, with the artist changing on and off and on and off and off and off. And that was the Hulk, and that book started out really good. It started out as a horror book, with Monster of the Week, whatever else, but there was no ongoing storyline. It wasn't even a one-shot type of thing. And then the girl that he was with, Charlie, she got turned into porcelain, and I after that happened, I dropped it. I was like, really, this is where we're going with this, and I didn't continue. There was just no meat to any of it. It was just nothing there, and we had the Queen of Monsters, which we never even saw. Maybe they saw him by this point, but I lost interest in it because it just didn't go anywhere. You got to keep the story fresh. You can't go a year with doing nothing with your character and nothing with your story besides turning. I know Hulk is not a multidimensional character, but you can't turn somebody into like a little porcelain doll and that's what I'm doing. I'm changing everything, and now I have to go get her out of that, and I'm going to spend the next 6 issues doing that. It's not enough. All right, the next one is Exceptional X-Men. I got 1 issue. They turned. Everybody said it was like that for a while, but the last time I saw Kitty Pryde, she had left Colossus at the altar or whatever. So, in fact, Batman and Catwoman were supposed to get married through Tom King, and at the same time, I think it was the same month, Kitty and Colossus were supposed to get married. Neither one of them happened, and instead, Gambit and Rogue went up and said, "Well, if you guys don't get married, we are." I thought that was pretty interesting. But the last I saw with them, that she still had a relationship with, maybe it was a broken relationship at this point, but that's the last time I saw them. Now suddenly she's waiting in a bar, getting stood up by a girl because now she's a lesbian, and that's what the whole book was about her getting stood up. It was no interest to me. I dropped that immediately. Next one, which I collected again for a little while, was Gail Simone, because I like Gail Simone's writing from when she did Birds of Prey. That was probably the best thing I've ever saw her do. And I saw that she was going on to Uncanny, and I'm like, okay, I'll give this a shot. And I like the group. I like the team from Uncanny. But then she brought in like 5 other people that were mutants, and now it's all convoluted because you have like the 6 main mutants, and then you have 5, so you have 11 characters in this book. And then on top of that, even if I was going to try to continue it, they were doing it bi-weekly. I'm like, how long is this going to be bi-weekly? This book cannot withstand bi-weekly. I don't understand why people have to do it. It's monthly. Comics are monthly. Just friggin' do it monthly. So I said, this book is not worth $10 a month. Sorry. So I dropped it. So, so no X-Men books. And then I was collecting everything Star Wars. I was collecting all the Star Wars titles for the most part, even Dr. Aphra, because I thought Dr. Aphra started out really as a good book. I liked the murder droids, and it just got progressively bad. They kept adding characters, where she was a loner to begin with, and suddenly there was like a team of like 20 people around her. It was like, this has just got bad. But I like the idea of that one being I don't think the book's even continuing at this point. I think it's dropped completely because it got so bad by Alyssa Wong that I don't think they could continue it. But an Indiana Jones in the Star Wars universe, I think that sounds like a really good idea. But they couldn't go. And then on top of that, they raised all the prices $5. Like Disney owns Star Wars, so you don't even have a licensing fee. So I don't know, but then again, everything jumped up. The only thing I was collecting, and then the Star Wars one, they kept interjecting storylines in between movies, which, between Star Wars and Empire, there is a little bit. But between Empire and Jedi, there is no time lapse. And I was like, and it was going on and on and on, and like, what, they just left Han in the carbonite, with Jabba for like, what, 10 years? It didn't work. And I said, nah, I'm out of here. I'm out of this. And it started getting real weird, and, we got Luke get a whole nother lightsaber, and I'm like, and his lightsaber's in the trash, and they couldn't give him the green one yet. I don't know. So they gave me yellow. It was just bad. It was just bad. So I dropped that. The only thing I continued was Bounty Hunters, and that ended up ending because nobody was buying it. But I liked Bounty Hunters. Of all the books, that was the one. But I think only the main Star Wars titles even continuing. I don't even know if they're doing Darth Vader anymore. So I dropped every Star Wars book, everything, except for Bounty Hunters that ended. And then the last two are the Ultimate books. So Ultimate Avengers, I collected like the first two, and I was like, yeah, this ain't working for me. I know a lot of people like that one now, but I never went back to it. And Ultimate Black Panther, I collected that for a while. Because I'd like to get a Black Panther book, but this was bad. First of all, I didn't like the costume with the face cut out. And then Storm didn't look like Storm in there. And then you had Killmonger that was a good guy. I don't know. It was all over the place. The story didn't go anywhere. The bad guys were Moon Knight, Ra, whatever. And I don't know what was going on there. So, and there was some kind of a mole inside of Wakanda, which I never even found out who the person was. So I'm like, you know what? This is just too slow a burn for me. I'm out. And the last one that everybody's surprised about, because everybody collects this book, it's got huge numbers, is Ultimate Spider-Man. I collected Ultimate Spider-Man for a while, but I realized it just was a slice of life book. It wasn't about Spider-Man at all. I liked having him with the family, him with Mary Jane, him having the two kids, that little girl was cute, the whole bit, and then having Uncle Ben alive and him would continue with J. Jonah Jameson. I liked all of that, but it just went nowhere. You had Green Goblin as a good guy, Norman was a good guy, and Iron Lad, Tony Stark, came in and just said, "What are you doing with my armor?" and then left. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. I none of it was working for me. I'm like, I want to see Spider-Man in my Spider-Man book. Sorry. We had like 2 or 3 issues in a row where we didn't even see, Spider-Man didn't even exist. He was just like, we saw Peter Parker and that was it. Or we had, Ben and J. Jonah and that's it. And I'm like, this is not for me. I don't need a slice of life book in the Spider-Man universe. It doesn't work. But a lot of people are still buying it, so I guess for them it works, I guess. All right, well, that's it for me. That's all the stuff I dropped this year. That's a lot, man. That was a lot of books I dropped, man. Actually, at this point, I'm getting more independent books, like the Energon universe, like Ghost Machine. I'm getting a lot more independent books than I am the top 2. And that speaks of something. But DC's kind of rebounding with All In. So let's see. I'm keeping my fingers crossed about what Jeremy can do with Aquaman, since he is my favorite character. We haven't seen him in a while. He is giving him powers that Mera has, because he doesn't have aquakinesis. That's Mera's power. But they did give it to Aqualad, so I guess it would make sense that they all have it, I guess, to a certain degree. But that's always what separated Aquaman and Mera, was that Mera had aquakinesis and he could speak to the fish and had super strength and all that fit. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited to finally get an Aquaman book back, although I'm like, did you gonna save the beard? He didn't shave the beard. At least he's blonde. I give him something. All right, I remember, too, that I am a comic writer myself, and this is my latest book, Lords of L.A. It's my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood. So Marilyn Monroe makes an appearance, so this is one of the covers for issue 2. If you'd like a copy, let me know in the description below. I can also do digital as well. I do sign the hardcover copies. Just let me know in the comments section, or just email me, and I'll get a copy out to you. And there you can see the Nosferatu thing on top of that. but it's got plenty of blood, sex, and violence in it. It is an adult book. This is the Wear Panther cover. I do have that in nude as well. This is the Samurai cover. This is the Helene cover. And this is the Lena cover. This is the main cover with the katana. All right, and then this is issue 1. They are 48 pages apiece, and you can see that the art is just as good as anything that Marvel and DC are putting out. All right. Plus, we are hooked up with Moonstone Books, and they are doing a 50th anniversary for the Green Hornet. So this is one of the older books that they've put out, but this is going to be an anthology with a whole bunch of writers, including Timothy Zahn, who created Thrawn for Star Wars, Kevin J. Anderson, who wrote for Dune. He also did Star Wars, I think, as well. Brandon Easton, who did Peggy Carter for Marvel. He also did one of the stories in Superman, Red, White, and Blue. Yeah, we have some really great writers in here. Go to greenhornetnoir.com and get signed up. Or you can go and click the link in the description below as well. That'll take you over there, and you'll get notified when we launch at the end of next month. All right, remember to give me a like and subscribe if you can. And I will see you guys on the next one. Happy New Year, everyone. And let's see what comics brings us in 2025. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.